In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the current conditions as always here, and we're also going to take a look at some upcoming storminess, including a few potential eastern snowstorms that I'm seeing popping up on the models in the long range. Always take that with a grain of salt, though. We will take a look at it either way, but we should all have our reservations based on how the models have performed this year, so I will put that disclaimer out there right away. Now, I've been getting a lot of comments about hearing the clicking ever since I got this new computer. I know it's one issue after the next, really, but we're going to be taking a look at a new filter that I put on the audio, so hopefully you will not be able to hear the clicking. I'm clicking right now, so if you can hear it, that's going to be a little bit awkward. But if we in fact can still hear it, I will fix it within the next video. So let me know if you can hear it or not. Let's take a look here at our current conditions, though, and we can see that along the eastern United States, there's just this big frontal boundary here, mostly a cold front here, stretching across the east. I would say our low at this point is somewhere in here, cold front underneath here, and then there's still this little bit of a warm front right there. And we can see the mixing and snowfall to the north of that warm front. This is pretty typical stuff here. Along this corridor in here, especially, we do have some heavier precipitation. It's a little bit early in the day, so no thunderstorms on the northern extent of this. But down for the southeast, there might be a line of thunderstorms still around with this storminess. We'll zoom into all of that. I really want to take a look here at the northwest, where we do have some lighter precipitation taking place at this point. As you can see, there's rain and snow showers happening across this corridor, mostly rain kind of west of that line. Snowfall mostly for all of these inland areas at this point. I even saw there was some snowfall taking place along our Great Lakes here, as you can see, behind that cold front, because we have cold air diving southward into a lot of these areas. So we are seeing some of this at this point. So we can see that there is a lot of bands in here, some heavy, especially this one near kind of just, I would say, to the west of Grand Rapids, kind of near Holland and Benton Harbor there. Now we can see some heavier banding of that snowfall in there. Also, for our Canadian friends here, we can see there's a heavier band, but it doesn't look like there's any large areas there. Glencoe and Grand Bend there seeing that heaviest band. So there is a few heavier bands of that going on. We can see that as we work our way further south and east here for Georgia, South Carolina areas in here, this is where we have the most thunderstorm activity at this point. So for areas like Tallahassee, Macon, Augusta, these areas in here, as well as Albany and Valdosta there in, or Valdosta, I'm not even going to try. There in Georgia, we do see these lines of heavier thunderstorms taking place and passing through. These should be done by the afternoon or evening, though. We do have some heavier showers also in this pocket here. That should also be done by this evening. Then as we work our way further north, we can see for southern New England in here especially, there is some heavier pockets of those showers. And then the mixing really begins right over New England, and the snowfall begins mostly for Canada. So for portions of those Adirondacks, northern White Mountain, or Green Mountains there, and northern White Mountains, there is some mixing going on. But to look for snowfall, you're mostly going to be wanting to look for Montreal there and Quebec, where there is very, very heavy snowfall at this point, as well as Caribou up there in the very far portions of very far northern regions there of Maine. Definitely some heavy snowfall here, but just not for the United States. So these pockets in here are dealing with very heavy snowfall at times. Certainly a large snowfall event for them. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is move on, and we're going to quickly move into the model guidance, where we'll take a look at multiple different factors in the upcoming weather. Now here we are taking a look here at our kind of upcoming weather here. I went ahead and zoomed us into basically what is upcoming from the time you're probably watching this video, so we can see the cold front still located there. We can see that as time moves on, we see things warm up after that cold front is all said and done. We'll have a jet stream that looks about like this. So there is some ridging happening, but we can already tell that the next trough is beginning to kind of move into the eastern United States here, so it is making its move. And likely what we're going to see is some cold air moving in with time. Not a lot of storminess to take a look at yet on this model run, but what we can see is as this kind of two jets combine here, so what we see is this happening, and then we see a lot of this happening here. And as these kind of draw together, we see some storminess develop there as those two jets meet. So there is some showery activity in here. Also some snowfall around the Great Lakes there. And then we have another storm system moving in through our northwest region of the United States. So let's see how all this kind of moves around. what we see is we get a little bit of a clipper system that brings some snowfall here to the northeast. That low is actually stronger than what it would kind of lead on there. We can tell that there is a lot of showery activity happening in the southeast there as well at this point, and this would be about Tuesday evening, maybe about 8 p.m. or so. But we can tell there's a lot of snowfall out west, kind of the theme of this winter. We see plenty of snowfall here for the Cascades, Sierra Nevadas here, and then the rest of the Rockies as well. Here we're seeing plenty of that activity there. I want to just see what ends up happening with this. By the time we're reaching about Wednesday the 22nd, so a little bit more to Wednesday the 22nd here, we have this very, very strong low developing here. So we see this taking place, a cold front, warm front dynamic here, and this likely would be our next severe weather threat underneath that warm front and to the east of that cold front. We'd be watching for that. We have a very strong low here that basically bombs out. This is what I was talking about in yesterday's title and thumbnail, because this one goes from about a non-existent low all the way down to a 977 within 24 hours, certainly beating that 24 millibar requirement to be considered bombogenesis. This one goes from 1005 all the way down to 977 so quickly. It's like the snap of a finger. 976, 975. So this one drops in pressure incredibly quickly. So not only do we have this low here, but we also have just like broad low pressure out here for a lot of our west. And that's why almost all of these areas in this circle are covered with some precipitation, as you can see. We see that taking place. We could tell this one is going to be a much stronger low. There is a cold front down here, warm front dynamic, but it's so cold that we see basically all snowfall around that warm front as well. And this leads towards a major Rocky Mountain snowstorm and Northern Plains snowstorm as well. And as time moves on, we see a lot of this energy does transfer to this eastern low as that one moves away very quickly. So what we see is a bit of a cold front here and a warm front, but a lot of snowfall on the northern end of this storm is gonna take place here, it appears. And what we see happen over time is we get another more minor system that kind of is like a shadow of that first one, because we get that snowfall on the northern end, a little bit of a cold front look, warm front look, but that low never really comes together on that one quite as well. And then we get this general storminess taking place again over the southeast as this southern jet kind of moves in like this. So we start to see this really playing a role in the upcoming pattern. Northern jet doing about like this. A little bit of a flatter look here, but overall, when we look at the total precipitation, you can tell that a lot of our storminess is going to take place in this area here. And then also out west, we get plenty for the Rockies and the Northwest. So overall, a very stormy 10 days coming up here. The total snowfall tells the full story like we talked about yesterday. We can tell there's a warm bubble here, not allowing any snowfall to take place within that area. But just to the north of there, we can tell that lots and lots of snowfall is going to move through very similar regions across here. So anywhere in the grays, a dusting, if anything, blues 2 to 6 inches perhaps. Purple 6 to 10, pinks 10 to 20 there. Pastel blue is going to be 20 to 35. And then your pastel pinks will be 35 inches plus. That's going to be plenty out west for the Rockies, the Cascades, the Sierra Nevadas. This is reminding me a lot of what we saw earlier on in the winter with the extreme snowfall totals. It looks like we're going to pick up right where we started. Now the GFS model, we're going to start things out actually at hour 252 because pretty much everything's the same as what we just saw before this point. But this is when interesting things happen on the GFS model, typically right after hours 240. Right around February 28th, it's going to be a Tuesday, we see a major snowstorm here for the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic on our GFS model. This is one of those things you're going to want to take with a grain of salt. And then for March 1st, which happens to be my birthday, we see a low kind of slide off from this one and develop. So a lot of this energy transfers back into this low. And what we see is these areas able to get snowfall, including my own area. So even though I highly doubt that this is going to happen this way, I have hope because it's my birthday and I've never seen a snowstorm on my exact birthday, so that would be really cool. So maybe we can all have our fingers crossed that that ends up happening. That's what I want for my birthday. I'll just put that out there. Now we see that slides off pretty generously, and then really what we're left with is warmer weather behind this. The GFS at least stays pretty realistic here, showing exactly what we've been seeing here. This storm has that low kind of cold front, warm front dynamic, and maybe even we would see severe weather here across the Ohio Valley, honestly, with this setup. So we'd be watching closely for that. Now, I want to take a look briefly at the temperature pattern because we cool down once this cold front comes through, obviously. This is tomorrow. And then we warm right back up already by Monday. So the weekend might be a little bit cooler. Next week, starting things out on a warmer note. And we stick around that way up until maybe about the next weekend. So this is Saturday the 25th. That cold starts to put up a fight. But look at the southeast ridge holding on for dear life. And then finally, we get some cold right around that beginning portion of March, just like the GFS model showed with that potential snowfall. So maybe we're onto something there. And then we see things warm up after that, just like, again, that GFS model showed. So the southeast ridge returns for March. I think we're in store for a very early spring here. It seems like the southeast ridge is not going to give up in any sort of major way, according to all our models here. So definitely seems like the most likely outcome here is that we're going to slide right into March and April in a very similar pattern to what we've been seeing. There is some signs that some cold air might be able to make its way in, and obviously nothing's really certain beyond 7 days, 10 days. These can change very drastically in a hurry, so we need to watch this closely. Be sure to tune in with us daily. We will be on top of everything. Obviously, we do upload every single day, so you can go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss those. Also, you can hit the bell icon so you get notified when we upload, so that's also good. Also, like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.